Claude Code, a very popular tool, can now use local models. In other words, I can be running an LLM right on my laptop, and Claude Code can talk to it. But that's not all. LM Studio, the tool that makes it super easy to run local models, it's a graphical tool, also now supports Claude Code. Is it even worth it? Because with Claude Code, the best thing to use is the models from Anthropic, right? Opus 4.5, who can beat that? Or can we? Well, that's what we're about to find out. Merlin AI. It's an all-in-one AI tool, and they gave my audience a big discount. I keep multiple AI tools around because each one is good at something, but it gets really expensive, and bouncing between tabs breaks my focus. Merlin AI puts ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, and more in one place so I can pick the best one for the moment, whether I'm coding, researching, or writing for a video. Watch this. I click the Merlin AI extension, chat with the web page to summarize what I'm reading, and pull out the important parts. And I even have my choice of models right at my fingertips. If I need something deeper, I turn on Deep Research, and it builds a clean, structured report from multiple sources. And it also has quick modes like Web, Academic, and Reddit Search. If you pay separately, ChatGPT is $20, Claude is $20, Gemini is $20, and that adds up fast. Merlin AI is cheaper because they buy AI API access in bulk. APIs cost less than the $20 plans, and most people don't even use $20 worth of API in a month. And here's the discount. I click pricing, continue, it takes me to Stripe, I enter the promo code, and the total drops to $60 for the year. That's basically $5 a month. I don't know how long this deal will be available, so grab it soon. The link is in the description. So first, if you don't already have LM Studio installed, download it from the LM Studio page. I'm on macOS, but it also works on Windows and Linux. It's a cross-platform thing. Click the download button and install it. When you open it up, it'll give you some notes, including the new release notes, which tell you that it now supports Claude Code. Boom. Let's close that down. You can search for models right here. There's a ton of different models out there. I suggest starting with something small so that you get a sense of what you're doing and how it works before you commit to a very large download. However, large models will give you better results typically. But as I found out, not all models actually give you good results when it comes to using it with Claude Code. To download a model, you can search for it or pick from the list. And I'm on Apple Silicon, so the best ones for me are gonna be MLX-based models. They're just a little bit better performing. And up here, you can search for MLX or GGUF. MLX is only gonna work on Apple Silicon. GGUF will work everywhere, including Apple Silicon. So if you want your model to be portable, if you're gonna be storing it on a drive and then taking it to a PC or a Linux machine or a Windows machine, then get the GGUF model. But if you're staying on a Mac, get the MLX version. Here's a Quencoder 30B, 4-bit is 17 gigabytes, so it's a commitment. Quencoder 30B Q4KM is also a 4-bit quantized model, but that one is a GGUF and it's 18.63 gigabytes in size, so a little bit bigger. I'm gonna stick with MLX for now and click download. Now this can download in the background, and there it goes. By the way, my Mac has 128 gigabytes of RAM. So yeah, I can run pretty big models on there. I can run much bigger models than the 17 gigabytes. But if you have, let's say a MacBook Air with only 16 gigs of VRAM, then pick a smaller model. I don't mean VRAM, I mean unified memory. VRAM is if you have a graphics card, like for example, an RTX 5060, which only has 16 gigabytes of VRAM. That's downloading in the background. However, I've already downloaded a couple of models. I have GPT OSS 120B, which we're gonna check out, and GPT OSS 20B. And this, I just found this one. It's a small model. It's a 1.2 billion parameter model. So really tiny. I've never even heard of this one before, but I thought I'd give it a try. And guess what? It didn't really work so well. So I'm gonna skip that one. Let's go to 20B right away. And I'm gonna bump the context all the way up to maximum because I wanna have a large context. I want this thing to remember a lot of my conversation, and I want Claude Code to be able to pass files back and forth from the model. Let's click load model here. And if you want to watch what happens with the memory, you'll see that it's loading up right here. I have 128 total. Now memory use is 57.6. Plenty of room to go. Now this is fine if you want to just use this thing and chat with it, but we want to use this with Claude Code. If you don't have Claude Code installed, it's really quite easy. You just go to the docs, quick start guide, and this is really the easiest way to do it is by running this curl command right here. If you're on Windows, you can use PowerShell, but I'm not. I'm gonna use this command. In fact, I already have it installed, but let's see what happens if I do it again. Probably nothing. Boom. Maybe it just updated. I don't know. but it's new, okay? If I want to run it, all I got to do is just say Claude now in my project directory, or really anywhere. But I did go inside my project directory, which is this LLM inference calculator. I created this a few videos ago, and it's basically a calculator that tells you how much RAM is needed based on the number of parameters you want in your LLM, the quantization, and so on. It's a React-based application, just front end, and it's built on Vite. We are a couple of versions behind, which is why I want to use Claude to update this for us. Now, if I launch Claude inside my project directory, it's either going to try to connect to my Anthropic account or use my Anthropic API key to use the credits. That's the first time you do it. I've already done it, so that's not what's happening here. But the first time you launch it, it'll ask you. So let's try using Opus 4.5, and then we'll compare it to the other models that are local. This will be like the golden standard. Update the dependencies to the latest. I didn't tell it what kind of project it is. It has to go and figure all that out, update the dependencies, then build it and run it. All those things it has to do. Let's see how long it takes. Now it's 9:51. It's gonna ask me some questions, so timing might not be exact, but it'll give us a general sense. I'm gonna say yes to pretty much everything it's gonna ask me. So this is your typical Claude Code experience until now, where it goes and talks to the cloud servers. But the whole reason we're doing this is so that we can run this locally. We know Opus is good, and we know it's good at its job. It's done already? What? It's 9:52. You gotta be kidding me. Come on. And it's already running the server? I mean, that's gonna be hard to beat. First, let's take a look at what it did. And it is running the server. It's working fine. Let's take a look at the code base. It updated two files, package.json and package lock.json. And yeah, it updated to the latest versions. Nice. So 19.24, I guess, is the latest, and some other dependencies here, and everything works together. Beautiful. Okay, I'm gonna git reset this to undo all those changes and clean my repository, get it back to the initial state. By the way, this repository is also on my GitHub, so you can go check that out. I'm gonna quit Claude Code here because now I wanna use my local model. So let's go back to LM Studio. And by the way, LM Studio is not the only thing you can use to host a model that Claude Code will talk to. And I have a couple of member videos that describe the process of setting things up, like Opus Code, for example. I've already loaded this model up, but this is not where we need to be. This is the chat interface. So I can start a chat and say hello to my model. I know how some of you really love that. This is not where I want to be. I want to be over here on this tab, which is the developer tab. This is a way to serve the models, so to make them available to other applications like Claude Code. So here I'm going to load a model, and I can pick any of these models, and look, Quencoder 30B is done, but we're gonna start off with this GPT-OSS 20B, which is 11 gigabytes in size. I'm gonna bump up the context length to 131,000 and load it. Now, the server is reachable at this IP address and this port. So how do I get Claude Code to talk to this? Well, you need to create a JSON file. When you install Claude Code, it creates a Claude directory, a hidden directory in your home folder. This is on a Mac, by the way, but it does a similar thing on Windows and Linux. And that's available in your home directory. So on a Mac, that's users, my name, .claude. Let's go there. And let's pop this open in VS Code. This is what you get. And there's a settings file here, which you can append, and you can create your own settings here, but you can also create a separate file. I'm gonna call mine lmstudio.settings.json, and I'm gonna paste in some settings here, which is a JSON object with an env object inside of there. So we're gonna point to an Anthropic base URL. This is gonna be the base URL, and it's gonna point to my IP address of this machine. Or if you're running LM Studio on another machine, you would just point it to that IP address. This port right here is a well-known LM Studio port, 1234. And if you forget what that is, it's right here on your developer tab in LM Studio. Anthropic auth token, don't need it. You could set up LM Studio to have an auth token so you don't accidentally share. And then Anthropic model, you could set this, or you can leave it as default model. And that's actually a good setting. I like leaving it a default model because you don't need to come into this file and change things all the time if you change your model. So I'm gonna leave it there, save this file. And now back on the command line, I'm gonna go back to my project. And when I launch Claude, I'm actually going to do a -- and pass in some settings, if I could spell. Yeah, And instead of the regular settings, I'm gonna pass in that file that I just created, the LM Studio settings.json file. Boom. All right. This is the key. Now, we're not talking to Opus 4.5 anymore. Nope. I'm gonna go to model, and yeah, I could still select Opus, but Lotus number 4 is default model. That's the one that's selected right now. Let's minimize this window, shall we? So I can show you what's happening here in LM Studio. Developer logs down here, you can maximize that. Let's clear that. And I'm gonna have it side by side here so we can watch it. Update this project to the latest dependencies, build and run. Boom. Check it out. On the right side, we are talking to our model now. And notice something else. Prompt processing, it's taking a while because it's not just this that it's sending along. It's sending along all the context. That's the files and everything else that Claude knows how to send to give the model the full context and the information it needs to be able to execute this task. Yeah, we're still prompt processing. Yeah, that's crazy because these prompts are huge. That's why we give it so much context. Oh, I can hear my MacBook Pro. The fans are spinning up. All right, we're gonna proceed here again with the prompt processing. When you hear people saying, oh, is prompt processing important? Yeah, it is, as you can see here. It's gonna be a very important thing. You often see benchmarks where there's prompt processing and token generation, and I cover this in other videos. Well, different machines process these in different ways. For example, the DGX Spark is really fast at prompt processing, while it's not that fast at decode or token generation. The M4 Max chip and the M3 Ultra are really good at token generation, really fast because they have fast memory bandwidth, but prompt processing is a little slow on them until we get the M5s. We'll see what happens there. Okay, while I was talking, it finished. I think it also didn't take that long, but I don't see that it actually said it's running this app. Let's take a look at the code here. It only changed one file, and that's the package log file, not the package.json file. So I don't think it actually did the thing. npm run dev. Okay, it runs, but it's still the older version. It's not the updated version. So I'm gonna call that task kind of a failure. And this brings us to the next thing, which is not all models are equal. This GPT OSS 20B, it might be good at certain things, but it's not good at this particular task. I'm gonna exit this, go back to LM Studio, and I'm gonna eject this model. Boom, out of there. I'm gonna load a new model, and we're gonna go with this GPT OSS 120B, which is a much bigger model. And I just noticed that I have the GGUF version and not the MLX version. Okay, that's fine. I'm gonna bump up the context, load model. Let's take a look at that, and you can see the memory going up again. Oh yeah, look at that. Look at that little memory pressure bump going up. Wow, because even though the model is 60 gigabytes on disk, when we add all that context in, it's much, much larger. That's where the demand of the memory goes up, and the VRAM or unified memory on Apple Silicon really goes up. That's why I made the LLM calculator in the first place. So you can see we're almost at that limit here. Now that our model is loaded, let's clear our developer logs. I've already exited Claude, but I'm gonna go back into it, and I'm not gonna change the settings file at all because we're pointed to the default model. So that's just going to use the same model that we have loaded in LM Studio. Update the project dependencies to the latest version, build and run. Boom. Let's see if we get any better luck with this larger model, which is supposed to be better. And it's 10:05 now. Let's say yes. It's going to ask a couple of questions. As usual, needs permission to do stuff. Oh yeah, it's happening. It's happening, folks. Get a little bit more of an insight on what's happening here as opposed to shooting it somewhere in the cloud and not knowing what's going on. But check it out. It's executing our commands. npm install, check updates, install, npm run build. That's a little bit different than what we saw with the 20 billion parameter model already. Is it done? So it didn't take that long, maybe a little bit longer, but I think it's done. Is it running though? And these fans are going crazy. Oh, look at that. Package.json has been updated. React 19.2.4. It did it. 120B did it. Let's run that. And it runs. So it didn't do one step, which is running the actual project, but it got the update done. You have to wonder, if I try an even bigger model, is it gonna actually run the thing? I don't know. But at least this gives you some ideas of how to run Claude Code with LM Studio with local models and the difference between how these models behave compared to the cloud model. I think we're getting there. If you like this video, you're definitely gonna like this one next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.